Welcome back to the World History. Today, we begin an epic journey into the rich and mysterious past of Japan, a land of ancient legends, fierce warriors, and timeless traditions. Let's unravel the fascinating story of how Japan was born. Shaped by myth, nature, and war. Our journey begins over 14,000 years ago with the Jomon people, Japan's earliest known inhabitants. They were hunter-gatherers who thrived in coastal forests, crafting pottery with rope patterns and living in harmony with nature. These early humans laid the first cultural foundation of Japan, long before emperors or samurai. Around 300 BCE, the Yayoi people arrived from the Asian mainland, bringing with them rice farming, metal tools, and a new social order. With agriculture came the rise of permanent villages and a shift from tribal life to a more structured society. The transformation was dramatic. Japan was evolving rapidly. As these early communities flourished, so did their spiritual beliefs. Shintoism, the indigenous religion of Japan, emerged, connecting the people to the spirits of nature. The kami, wooden shrines nestled in forests, became sacred places of worship, embodying the soul of early Japanese spirituality. By the 3rd century CE, the powerful Yamato clan rose to dominance. They established the first imperial court, claiming descent from the sun goddess Amaterasu. The emperor became a divine figure, a tradition that continues symbolically to this day. Japan was slowly forming a centralized identity. In the Heian period, as the imperial court flourished in Kyoto, new warrior clans began to rise in the provinces. These early samurai upheld Bushido, the way of the warrior, with loyalty, honor, and deadly skill. They stood as protectors, but soon they would become rulers. Meanwhile, aristocrats in Kyoto lived lives of elegance and refinement. Art, poetry, and literature reached new heights. The famous tale of Genji, often called the world's first novel, was penned by Lady Murasaki during this era, a glimpse into the beauty and politics of court life. Then came a seismic shift. In the 12th century, the Minamoto clan, led by Minamoto no Yoritomo, emerged victorious in a brutal civil war. He declared himself the first shogun, a military ruler with real power, while the emperor remained a symbolic figure. The age of the samurai had officially begun. Castles rose across the land as new warlords, or daimyo, fortified their domains. These towering structures were not just military bases, but centers of culture and administration. They symbolized the feudal age, and the power of regional clans that ruled with both sword and strategy. But Japan faced outside threats. In 1274 and 1281, the Mongol Empire launched invasions by sea. Samurai warriors fiercely defended the shores. And then, the divine wind, the kamikaze typhoons, struck and destroyed the Mongol fleets. Japan saw this as a sign the gods were protecting them. As we continue the story of Japan, the land is now divided among rival clans, each seeking control, power, and legacy. This chapter plunges us into a chaotic yet transformative era, where swords ruled the land, culture blossomed in silence, and legendary warlords changed history forever. Following the fall of the Kamakura shogunate, the Ashikaga clan rose to power, leading the Muromachi period. The samurai no longer just fought, they governed. Inside dimly lit tatami rooms, they made crucial decisions that shaped the nation. Loyalty, politics, and ambition mixed behind paper walls. But even amid warfare, peace was cultivated. Zen Buddhism flourished, brought from China and embraced by warriors and scholars alike. In tranquil rock gardens and quiet temples, monks meditated, seeking inner stillness. These serene scenes stood in sharp contrast to the violence of the world outside. Soon, the Sengoku period, the Warring States era, erupted. For over a century, Japan was engulfed in civil war. Clans clashed in endless battles, alliances formed and shattered. The battlefield became the judge of power, and only the most ruthless and brilliant would survive. Enter Oda Nobunaga, the first of the three great unifiers. A fearless tactician, he embraced guns and broke samurai traditions. With fire and steel, he crushed his enemies and took Kyoto. His vision was bold, to bring all of Japan under one rule. His rule was brief, but unforgettable. After Nobunaga's assassination, his loyal general Toyotomi Hideyoshi took command. A peasant-turned-warlord, Hideyoshi achieved the unthinkable. He unified nearly all of Japan. His charisma held the land together, and he even dreamed of conquering Korea and China. Though his invasions failed, his legacy endured. Then came Tokugawa Ieyasu, who ended the chaos once and for all. In 1600, at the decisive Battle of Sekigahara, he defeated rival warlords and seized control. 3 years later, he became shogun, marking the birth of the Tokugawa Shogunate, a military government that would rule Japan for over 250 years. With peace restored, a new era began. The Tokugawa shoguns established their capital in Edo, modern-day Tokyo. Samurai put down their swords, and cities came alive. Markets buzzed with merchants, craftsmen, and townsfolk. The economy boomed, and Japan became more urban than ever before. Education flourished. Even commoners learned to read and write. Children sat in simple classrooms, practicing calligraphy with careful strokes. The spread of learning built a more informed and organized society, one ready for future change. Cultural life exploded. Kabuki theater dazzled audiences with music, dance, and drama. The arts, once reserved for nobles, became entertainment for all. Colorful costumes, exaggerated movements, and bold characters brought stories of samurai, ghosts, and romance to life on stage. But in 1853, dark ships appeared on the horizon. Commodore Perry of the United States arrived with steam-powered vessels, demanding Japan open its doors to the world. The people stared in disbelief. It was the end of isolation, and the dawn of a new era. Japan stood at a crossroads. The arrival of Western powers shattered centuries of isolation. The world was changing fast, and Japan had to decide, evolve or fall behind. What followed was one of the most dramatic national transformations in world history. In 1868, the Meiji Restoration began. The samurai class dissolved, and centuries-old hairstyles and armor were replaced by Western suits and military uniforms. Young men once trained with swords now studied science, engineering, and law. Japan was rewriting its identity fast, and Edo became Tokyo, a bustling capital of steel, smoke, and ambition. Railways and telegraphs stretched across the nation. Skyscrapers began to rise where temples once stood. Within just a few decades, Japan leaped from feudalism to industrial modernity, a transformation that stunned the inside roaring factories. Workers forged a new empire. Metal, textiles, and machinery powered Japan's rise. Women and men toiled side by side, driven by a hunger to prove Japan could match, even surpass the West. The empire's heartbeat pulsed with smoke and steam. By the early 20th century, Japan had grown powerful militarily and politically. It defeated Russia, shocked China, and expanded its reach across Asia. Parades of soldiers marched proudly through the streets, while nationalism surged. Japan was now a rising empire with global ambitions. But ambition soon turned to tragedy. In World War II, Japan launched aggressive military campaigns across the Pacific. The people endured bombings, rationing, and fear. Soldiers fought with honor, but the war brought devastation. The empire had reached too far, and it began to crumble. Then came August 1945. The U.S. dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The destruction was beyond imagination. Entire cities vanished in seconds. For the first time, Japan was brought to its knees, not by armies, but by the power of a single weapon. The war ended, a nation mourned. Japan lay in ruins, but not in spirit. With American occupation came reforms, rebuilding, and rebirth. Schools were opened, women gained new rights, and democracy replaced dictatorship. Side by side, American troops and Japanese citizens worked to reshape the nation from the ground up. Within a generation, Japan rose from ashes into an economic miracle. By the 1980s, neon signs lit the skies of Tokyo. Cars, electronics, and innovations poured out to the world. Japan had become a global powerhouse, not with war, but with technology and culture. Yet even in this new world, Japan never lost its soul. Tradition and modernity now live together. A girl in kimono walks past steel towers. Shinto shrines hide in concrete jungles. The old and new blend, silently and beautifully. In colorful street festivals. Or Matsuri lanterns glow. Drums beat, and generations celebrate the spirit of Japan. The past is alive, not in museums, but in every dance, every flavor, every chant echoing through the night. From ancient forests to neon cities, from samurai swords to supercomputers. This is Japan's journey, a timeline carved in myth, war, wisdom, and resilience. And through it all, the spirit of Japan remains unbreakable.